Women of Power podcast is a platform for passionate and influential women who are catalysts for change, pioneers in their fields, the change makers, the trailblazers, performers and influencers, driven entrepreneurs and professionals. They play a vital role in driving economic growth and bridging the talent shortages across organizations of various scales. Building cause-based businesses to create positive impact in their communities and towards sustainable goals for the people, planet, and prosperity. In every industry, women are shattering barriers and strive to create a space where they can exhibit their achievements and motivate other women to unleash their limitless potential. We encourage collaboration, networking, and knowledge sharing among women. Let's inspire and learn from one another while sharing our valuable experiences. Thank you for joining us and listening to this episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Women of Power. Women of Power podcast is a platform for passionate and influential women who are the catalyst of change, pioneers in their field, the change makers, the trailblazers, the performers, the influencers, driven entrepreneurs and professionals. They play a vital role in driving economic growth and bridging talent shortages across organizations of various scales, building cause-based businesses to create positive impact in their communities and towards sustainable goals for the people, planet, and prosperity. Women of Power is a dynamic platform that recognizes the incredible potential of women as a driving force behind global economic growth. It is a platform that celebrates and empowers women of passion and power. My guest today is an amazing contributor. She is a multiple award-winning professional, Dr. Charlene. I will have her tell more about herself, but for almost past 11 years, she dedicated her career in advancing online child protection. She's a founder of Internet Sense First, a charity that educates families on online child safety and raises funds for therapy for the victims of online child exploitation. What a remarkable cause. A sought-after keynote speaker, Charlene is proud of her achievements, including her film awards. She has over 40 awards, recognitions conferred over the past few years. And most notably, I will mention the 2025 awards, our Gold Award, Women Changing the World, Women of the Year. I think the organization is Rural and Regional for Americas. Another 2025, she is the recipient of James Madison Award for authors and books. 2025 Certificate of Excellence, the Catalyst for Change Award, book endorsed by the United Nations. Dr. Charlene, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Ritu.
How
Pleasure.
are you?
Well, I'm just great. How are you doing?
Doing very well. I am so amazed to see that your passion is not enough to say. It is commitment. It is more than commitment sometimes. That to get to the level to help others, that is admirable. Tell me about yourself.
Okay, it's a subject I know better than anyone, I guess. I I am a computer science specialist in education and have managed computer networks in secondary schools, which is an education in itself. I'm also an author, speaker, and film producer, and a registered holistic nutritionist, and I love learning. And everything that I have learned has contributed to my major goals now of the online protection of children. To get some history, I had a family member at the age of 4 that was used for child pornography or child sexual abuse material by neighbors. And it's something that people will say, well, why didn't people know? And I have to tell everyone that it's not only the victim that is groomed, it's the whole family that is groomed. And the people that did it were using their own children and another member of the community, a little girl, for their vile income. Myself, I was sexually assaulted by a teacher on a high school trip when I was 15, and also by a professor in university. And I have to say, the professor in university got a response from me that was built up from the high school experience. I have absolutely no patience for anyone taking advantage of anyone sexually. And because of this, my whole heart is in everything I do because it's from the experience of my family with a 4-year-old and my own personal experience. And when you have your heart behind it, truthfully, there's really nothing stopping your objectives. You really have your heart in all of it.
I hear
And
that.
then what's that?
I hear that. I see that.
Yes,
So,
yes. And when the person was convicted, my niece was 4 years old when she was abused, and at the age of 22 was killed by a drunk driver. And the
mm,
day after the conviction of the drunk driver, I launched my charity, Internet Sense First. And that was May 14th, 2014. We became a registered charity within 6 months. And then I started doing presentations because the whole mandate of the charity is to educate so that children can be protected online. And that's educating parents as well as professionals. And we also raise funds for victims for therapy. And when I was doing presentations, my girlfriend said, Charlene, you need to write a book. If you don't, someone will steal your intellectual property. And I said, well, I've never written a book. And she says, oh, just sit down and start typing. You type 90 words a minute, just do it. So I did. And my first book was nominated for an award by educators in the Americas, which was an unbelievable experience. I never thought anyone would nominate it. I didn't win the award, but the nomination was an award in itself.
mhm.
And since then, I studied film production and produced my film, Vulnerable Innocence. The Internet Are Children in Charge. And by the way, children are in charge of the internet in most homes. And it's just mushroomed from there to different other things that I've been doing.
It brings it in a full circle. So I'm so sorry for what you had been through from the experiences. There's far too many boys and girls fall prey in their innocence.
Right,
There's no excuse, and it should be brought up. Once something has happened, how horrible that is, the trauma continues. You can't go back to undo
right.
something that has happened, right? That's so unfortunate. But the next step of it, what you're doing is to educate parents,
Yes.
right? I think when I speak to people, a lot of similar work I have done in my documentaries in gender-based violence. So we came across a lot of intersectionalities, and I see that a lot of time. Grandparents are the caregivers when
Hmm.
parents are at work. So they also need to be part of that education.
Exactly. And I tell everyone, like, I've created my theory of digital supervision, which is user friendly and proactive.
Aha.
It's there to make sure this doesn't happen. And I always direct it to parents, guardians, grandparents, and professionals. In fact, I'm going to be speaking to a group of physicians at the Faculty of Education at a university
Mm-hmm.
No, faculty of medicine at a university. I've already talked to education faculties because physicians and people in the medical profession, admittedly, are more to diagnose and cure. But what I'm telling them is that you need to digitize your practice. You need to start realizing that these children, they may not have sleep apnea. They're up all night playing games. And I've created the theory of the holistic digital child, that it's body, mind, and spirit, but we have to look at the digitization of our children,
Absolutely.
digitize our parenting skills,
Yeah.
our professional skills to take in the whole child.
Something that I have said in my podcast before, and I'm going to say it again today. I say that it's no secret. It's so obvious to us, the parents of the young parents of this generation. Um, my grandmother would have never imagined cyberbullying and this
Mhm.
type of word. Never would have even
Mhm.
imagined. My mother never heard the word cyberbully. When my kids
Yeah.
were in middle school, high school, yes, the word was around. But
Mhm.
my kids did okay. It wasn't as it was kind of scattered little issue where bullies became, and it wasn't a problem. The
Mhm.
young parents now, the young mothers, young fathers, have to be trained and train their children from online predators. So
That's
the
right.
difference between the grandmother and the grandchildren, grandparents and the grandchildren, is drastic change. How the social life has changed between two
Mhm.
generations.
Absolutely.
So,
And
the,
so many parents don't realize that. And I tell everyone when I'm speaking to audiences,
mhm,
a lot of people say, well, there's hardware out there and there's software and the government and the police and social media and internet service providers. And I'm like, well, there's a missing link here. And you know why? It's not working because more and more children are being victimized. It's gone up by 15,000%. And that's according to NCMEC in the United States and other different organizations, 15,000%. And what we need to realize as parents and guardians is that we are giving these devices to our children. We have a part to play,
yes,
and we have to start supervising the internet, not spying on our children, because parents are driving their kids to school, taking them to sporting events, making sure they're safe, going to malls, but they're letting them go online unsupervised. And
yes,
that's where we have to digitize our parenting skills.
very
Traditional
much so.
parenting is great, but we have to digitize what we've been doing.
Very much so. And not only parents, grandparents also, because a lot of
Exactly.
the young children can easily manipulate grandparents, and
Hmm.
they can get away with it. Let me say that way. They can
Yeah.
get away with it, right?
Hmm.
So, them younger children being in company of grandparents probably like it because they're not being disciplined as much. I'm not saying grandparents don't want to. I
Yeah.
am just drawing attention to the issue of the inadvertently or unsupervised, where you know a
I
problem.
totally agree because when I'm speaking, I speak to all ages. Like the grandparents are usually the most concerned, and I'll tell them, look, if you have put pictures up of your grandchildren online, you should never do that. They're not your kids. And there are pictures that I've shown. Like I had a picture of a little girl that was put up by a grandparent. And I knew it because he said, this is my granddaughter. Nice, bright smile on the child's face. And she had her hands around a piece of watermelon. And I block the face of the child, but I tell everyone, number one, if you're the grandparent, this is not your child. And number two, this picture can be transformed into a sexual position very easily. And I had one parent put a picture up of their child like this. And I'm like, with AI and all the tools they have, predators can turn this into child sexual abuse material like that.
Yeah.
And if people have not tried AI and doing a deep fake, it's so easy.
Yeah.
I
I,
don't preach about anything unless I've done it.
I think people are waking up to it. However, if the damage is done, it's done. It's trauma for a child to grow up with,
Exactly.
right? So let's talk about a little bit more on the education part that you do with your books, with your NGO work, and with your trainings in everything, the services that you provide or through your organization. The problem is really big and it's global. It's not localized problem. Let's face it, right? And it's ongoing. The format has changed. The gender-based violence or sexual abuse is nothing new.
Hmm.
It's from the centuries and generations. The way it's being done now on cyber, um, online and AI and things, where are the focus, let me rephrase that, where the focus should be in schools, for parents. You brought up medical community. Yes, because if there are injuries or even wellness checks, the physicians I had come across when I was doing documentaries that the pediatricians and doctors were trained to see unusual marks uh, or scars or things and ask the right questions. So they were being trained. And that was almost 10 years ago. Things have changed drastically in 10 years. Things have changed in the last 2 years. Let's bring the
Hmm.
conversation to where do you see from your experiences uh, in a hierarchy? The schools should be more actively involved, parents, medical community, or it's kind of spread out everywhere. Your take.
Well, it's all of the above. However, the one thing that I find very difficult to tolerate is when they are putting so much ownership on children for their safety online. And I've heard the expression good digital citizen and you shouldn't do that and this sort of thing. And then parents, not all of them, I'm not blanketing everyone,
Hmm.
but parents quite often are saying, well, the police, the governments, the social media, they've got to do something. And my response to that will always be our role as a parent,
Hmm.
since Adam and Eve, has been to look after our children and protect them. That's the law. And we are supposed to protect our children. And if we are telling the school, yes, it's good for children to be aware of it. As an educator, I know that these kids get this up to here about internet safety. They still do it. Why? Because kids like to take risks. They like to have fun. And I will ask audiences, tell me, how many of you lied to your parents growing up? And the response is always, oh, I don't know. Should I say anything? And I'll tell them, I lied to my mother and father like a drunken sailor. We all did. We all wanted to get off with doing things and getting off with it. That's the fun of growing up. You put a screen in front of a child, they are going to try to get off with things, not understanding the magnitude of what they're doing.
That's
That's why we
critical.
cannot put so much ownership on our children for their safety online. We, as adults and parents, have to start taking on that responsibility more.
Do
And
you?
that's why I developed my theory of digital supervision. It's
Mm,
user friendly, inexpensive, and parents tell me it works, and it does.
that's great. That's great. Do you come across parent defending their children? Not my kids. No, they
Oh,
will not.
absolutely. I spoke one night and I'm like, like this. And this guy says, oh, that's a really good thing. And then the next morning he calls me and he said, I have a 13-year-old son. He told me he never does anything wrong online, and I believed him. And I went, seriously, it went right over your head. Your son is probably lying. You need to start looking at what your kids are doing online. It's not going to be something that will come easily.
You made a point like, people would say that, okay, police or government or social media companies should do something. That is like a police or government. Yes, government can put some policies in place or so. A police role is after the fact. Damage
Mhm.
is done,
That's right.
right?
Yeah,
If they
no,
come in
that's
to
right.
rescue, the damage is done. So the victims live with trauma for the
Hmm.
rest of their lives. For some people, it's very hard to come out of it. I'm sure you have, I have come across many, many people, men, women, both. It's not limited to gender, right? So
Hmm.
they have any adverse experiences, traumatic, memories of things. Um, and so, what do you see? Where does the responsibilities lie and things are being done? Okay, social media companies, all these platforms and things. It takes a long time, but
Hmm.
people in general, I am just trying to, it's such a big of a scattered problem. Not everything is bad,
Hmm.
but it can be misused. It's the two sides of the coin. There's the dark side of that too. So if we're focusing on the dark side of it, um, there cannot be restraints. People are still going to find ways to misuse
Oh, absolutely.
technology, right?
That's the human nature, you know.
Do you do you see the policies, government policies or restrictions, are they really making a difference? In
They make a difference when the predator has been caught.
okay.
And there aren't a lot of predators that are going to say, oh, there's that new law, I'm not doing that anymore. Because this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. In fact, I warn everyone, as the economy gets worse, this crime is going to escalate. And there are parents using their own children for their income because they're making billions of dollars on this crime. Sure, they can put legislation in place. And I've talked to government officials, and they'll say, yeah, they keep wanting legislation. That's good, but we have to catch them. And it's not so much as of a deterrent
Hmm.
because, children are risk takers, but so are adults too.
Yes.
And they will take the risk and they will make their billions of dollars. This industry makes more money than Hollywood does.
You make a valid point, and it's very sensitive as well. How can someone, a little innocent child, can escape from caregivers, parents,
How can they? It's very difficult.
right?
Um, I'll tell you from my own experience, when I was sexually assaulted by a teacher on a field trip,
Hmm.
I felt totally helpless.
Yeah.
And for years, I, I just felt a guilt that I had some sort of ownership in it. And it took me years to wake up and realize I was just a kid. I did not have the life skills and experience. And that's what predators determine. That's how they find their victims.
Hmm.
Because I've heard so many people say, oh, you need to use the correct words for body parts. And I'm like, my predator never used any word relating to a body part. And they will not use it with children either. My predator said, let's be silly. And when I wrote my documentary script, I had one scene where the predator said, "You want to be silly, have some fun." They're not going to come out and say, I want to touch a body part or anything like that. It's good for young children to be able to describe, yes, they touched this or they touched that or I touched that. You see, they'll say children need to know the right names, but they also need to realize that children are asked to touch other people's body parts, not people just touching them.
This is
And
very
these are things that
sensitive conversation, right?
yeah,
And I am sure that you have heard from people, they would object or they would say, come up with things. You're in school system. I'm relying upon your experiences to kind of have our listener be aware of that, even it's in a very uncomfortable conversation. It's very
mhm.
difficult for many parents to have that conversation with their children. What
It
would
is.
you advise them? Then who? Who can do that on behalf of parents? Would teachers or social workers or community
Well,
leaders? How does that
professionals, yeah, the professionals
professionals? That's
can,
yeah,
but I think
nurses,
as parents,
etc. Right? Hmm.
we need to have a trust with our children. I'll give you an example. I had a lady who does treatment, not treatment, but advisor for uh, kids that are addicted to gaming. And we're
Hmm.
good friends. And she called and she said, Charlene, I'm working with people in the United States, which I do as well, and other people
Hmm.
around the world. But she said there's a set of parents, they know their son may be addicted to gaming, but they believe that someone has asked him to send a nude. And a nude is obviously a picture of himself naked or whatever. And she said they don't know how to approach this, but they're worried about him. He seems depressed and anxious. What should they do? And I said, well, they should ask him. And she said, well, what do you mean? I said,
Hmm.
they need to be very upfront and say, listen, we notice that things are different. We're wondering, has anyone asked you to send them something? Are you feeling pressured by anyone? And she said, well, do you think that will work? And I said, it's a start.
It's a start.
So she called me the next day and she said, I can't thank you enough. The boy burst into tears and said, I'm so glad you asked. I don't know what to do or where to turn because people need to realize we tell our children from the age of 2 not to run around naked.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're being asked to do these things online. Someone gains their trust, they've groomed them. And these aren't just unknowns, these are peers as well. You know, the unknowns are there, but the peers are doing this to each other. So
That
they
is a
send a nude.
very difficult part for children. I am so sorry for children to be going through these types of experience. Their innocence is gone. It's not the children who remain victim. The caregiver must feel, right? That they,
Oh, but yeah, because in my family, the parents wondered, where did we go wrong? Why didn't we see it? And my response to them after all the research I've done is, you're groomed too. It's not just the child. But when it's online and the parents are not paying attention to anything their child is doing online, there are so many children huddled in front of a computer screen, terrified, anxious, depressed, because this has happened and they don't want to tell anyone because they've been told for years not to be naked. Just putting it bluntly. And now this has happened. Where do they turn? Which is why parents need a constant conversation with their children about what they're doing online. Friendly. You don't have to be supervisory.
peer
You have to
pressure is a big
talk
thing.
openly.
Peer pressure
Yeah,
is a big thing, right? So if they find they know that their friends are doing it, so it's okay to do it, there is still not mature enough mind because they've grown up with the technology being around. They have the gadgets in their hands. And I want to say, I'm not defending parents here, but in all good sense, if we see that a lot of single parent families, nuclear families, working two jobs to keep up the roof and provide for their children. And sometimes children grow up by themselves.
they do. I always tell people a history lesson.
Mhm.
And I tell them I was managing a network in the year 2000, and
Mhm.
that was the new millennial. It was a really big deal. We had to change all of the imaging on the machines. And that year we got a really modern network, and we were amazed at a moving picture on the screen. It's now referred to as an animated GIF. That was huge.
Yeah.
In 25 years, we've gone from there to
To
what we're doing now,
AI.
and online streaming, and everything's online. 25 years isn't a long time for the humanity to adjust to digitized parenting. It isn't. And unfortunately, this generation coming up, the parents need to start realizing that we're giving these devices to our children, and we have to start looking at what they are doing, communicating. And I have a digital device contract. It's for free on my website, cdoak-gebauer.com. I provide it complimentary. It's set up
We
like
can make it available for our viewers. Yes, we'll
sure.
share the
Yeah,
link.
you
Yes.
can. It's set up like a legal contract
Uh-huh.
that the parents sit down with their children, they give them a device, and they say, okay, these are the rules with this device. And I'm not saying certain amount of time online and all of this thing.
Mhm.
It gets into the real meat and potatoes of what's going on. And then you keep it, it's signed, it's a legal document, and you tell your children, I will be spot checking your devices. This is all in the legal contract. And you make sure that you refer to that contract, because my second book is called The Internet, Are Children in Charge? The answer to that question, yes, they are.
They are.
How many times I've heard parents say, oh, my kids know more than I do. And I'm like, shame, shame, shame. You need
Not
to get
only
to
that,
know it.
Charlene, they are also um, studying. They're searching for their papers or something, right?
Yeah,
So there is a positive use of the technology, and there's a dark side
that's
of the
right.
technology, and there's a lot of responsibility on both sides, right? So,
Exactly.
parents educating themselves is very critical, right?
Hmm.
Um, let's move on to a little bit more on where the medical community can play a role, and how do you see that where we are this end of the year 2025? Are there being enough progress made? There has been any mandates that the doctors must ask these questions when they see the patients, adolescents for their wellness checks, annual checks or so? There are. Okay.
Well, I have not really. I have a consultant on my board of directors who
Hmm.
said we as physicians are there to cure and diagnose.
Hmm.
And he said we need more training, which is why I'm speaking to the Faculty of Medicine. We need more training in diagnosis, taking into consideration the digital lives of the children.
Hmm.
And there are questions that need to be asked. Like I've talked to parents that said my child, they think he has sleep apnea, and I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Your child is online all night. And are you putting any restrictions on your equipment, like turning it off at night so that they can't get on the router, making sure their cell phones are in your parental bedroom charging so that your children do not have access to these devices in the night, making sure they're not on them after a certain amount of time because those electronics are going to keep them awake anyway. So,
Not good for
there,
health, physical health anyway, for the
right.
vision, for the physical health, because the sleep pattern, the body has its rhythm,
Hmm.
right?
That's right.
So, an addiction to the device, it's just not children. Adults have too.
No, no. And I've seen so many kids there, they've got like a hunchback already because they're
Yeah.
bent over some
Yeah.
device all the time. And there are doctors that are saying, you know what, they're going to be doing cataract surgery for people that are 40 years old because they're on screens constantly.
Wow.
You
I
know, it's
remember at the turn of the century, we had the BlackBerry thumb. Carpal tunnel used to be for the keyboards, then BlackBerry thumbs,
yeah,
and then now a lot more stuff has come out.
right.
Yeah. So medical community, yes, definitely. Like you have worked very hard even with your filming, and so my exposure to working with gender-based violence and exposure to the medical community, doctors being trained. At that time, there wasn't enough, but it was catching on because
Hmm.
sometime um, the patient and doctor, that's the only few minutes that they have.
Right.
If doctor can ask
Well,
the right questions and they can at least guide them to look for resources, and the
mhm.
community resources make have to be available, doctors have to be taught. So I think that is another very wide open area where school nurses, medical professionals must be involved into this,
Mhm.
become um, chaperones somehow.
Well, they can only do so much. I
They can
know
also.
because of insurance, you can talk one body part at a time with a doctor. You can't talk about more than one body part. So it can be quite difficult. But there has to be this holistic view of children and adolescents, and that's body, mind, spirit, and digital world.
Mhm.
And the digital world has to be brought into focus into body, mind, and spirit. And therapists as well. I've talked to some therapists, and they'll say, "Well, this is it's just sexual abuse," and I'm like, "Well, I think we need to change our thought process on that because it involves the entire internet. It's not a room with four walls." And therapy has to include what is the digital life of the child, and have they done something that is making it a global trauma rather than a four walls room trauma. And I think a lot of them are getting to that point, but it is a highly specialized type of therapy.
I am sure. And it's too new
Hmm.
before some policies, some practices, some therapies are tested and the results have been seen and approved, etc. So there is a duration for that as well, right?
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Let's talk about the positive sides of the education
Hmm.
awareness. You have NGO within a what would you refer as is a education and awareness type of organization?
My charity,
Yes,
Internet Sense First. It's called Internet Sense First. It's like common sense, but it's Internet Sense First.
yes.
And it's all based on my theory of digital supervision, which
Hmm.
is awareness,
Okay.
what's truly going on online, and that is updated daily. I get information from different organizations and individuals, and I research on my own. Plus, the second part is method.
Hmm.
What are the user-friendly methods to keep our children safe online? And the third part is hope, because we can do it. And I tell everyone, our children, so many people will say, "Oh, my child, he's so smart. He can use these devices and everything." And I'll say, "Look, I'm sorry to break this to you, but your child's not a genius because they can use this stuff. It's all user friendly. It's user friendly based, which is why parents, all we need to do is start playing with it and realizing what our children are doing. Play on a game when your child doesn't know you're there. Call yourself in disguise if you have more than one device, or tell your child, I'm playing the game with you." And it all depends on your relationship with your child. Do you need to do it incognito, or can you do it in full conversation with your child? Full conversation is the best way. But some kids, it's just gone too far and it won't work that you can talk openly with them about it. But these kids are facing things every day. And I am the global chair for a group that I have 40 different countries. Don't think it's just North America or Europe or anywhere else. I have people from India, Africa, New Zealand, Australia, South America. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's a
So
global
let's,
issue.
yeah.
So what do you see, say we in end of 2025, so the rest of the decade? AI is going to take on. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
exponential. Either it's robotic in a workplace or automation or whatever. There's
Yeah.
no stopping. There's no going back. We
Mm-hmm.
are into a digital world, like it or not. We are,
Right.
right? So people
Mm-hmm.
say, oh no, I like old fashioned. What does that old fashioned mean anymore? I ask people, how long you have been using Siri? That's artificial
Right.
intelligence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't want to get up to turn the music on
Right.
because it
Yeah.
was easy to tell Siri to do something.
Right. That's right.
So, and you got addicted to it. Online shopping. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
pandemic made it possible for people to do their shopping online without going
Mm-hmm.
and touching things. Was good. We got addicted to having package come next day outside our home, sometime even same day.
Mm-hmm.
So the technology has taken over our lives. And this is where I say that we already have switched our behavior to
Oh, in
technology.
many ways.
In
Yeah.
many ways, we already have become slaves of technology.
Mm-hmm.
In many ways.
Yes.
And then there's the dark side. How do we stand up and commit to ourselves? Say, okay, here is my limit. Now I have young children or young family or young grandchildren, and that's not healthy for them. It's not healthy for their emotional growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's so huge of a problem, not enough solutions. So if you and I get into a dialogue and say, okay, government has to play a role, social media companies, the owners, the companies who have put out these games and devices have some moral responsibility, and there should be an oversight. Parents have to be educated. How much time do you think it would take to see some positive changes be in place?
Well, I see a lot of positivity now in that parents are becoming more aware of the need, and children are still going to be reckless online. It's life hasn't changed because there's a screen to the point that we're totally different as human beings. You see what I mean? And what we need to do is realize with children, their communication skills are different than even 10 years ago.
Yes.
They communicate through a cell phone or through gaming, but they still communicate. But they need training on not bullying and communicating in a positive way. And a lot of people, the technology is here to stay, and we have to adjust our thinking when it comes to our children on the technology. And we also have to adjust our parenting when it comes to the technology.
Yeah.
Because too many people will say, well, I don't think I trust my children. I
I
trust them.
hear that a
We
lot.
have to
Yeah.
trust them. And what I tell them, you have to trust your child may make a mistake because that's where it's different. These children are looking through screens. They may see a picture that isn't even real. They may see an AI video that isn't even real. But we as adults have to realize there's far more our children are being bombarded with through technology, and they may make a mistake. It's our responsibility to
Yes.
keep them safe and to not make a mistake.
True. I think it's not like not trusting your children. It's that not trusting the part of using technology.
Well, sure. Like
Yeah.
I trusted my son, but I knew darn well he was a human being and he was going to do things maybe he shouldn't do. You put a screen in front of a child, it gets worse and more dangerous.
Yes.
It's more
It
dangerous.
has. The last few
Yes.
years it has. So on the positive side of it, yes, because by the time policies have put in place, um, parents are taught, or they finally admit to themselves and realize that, oh, I should be doing something differently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I trust my child too much and not on this part, right?
And
It takes a while.
it's
It's awakening.
yeah, it's not so much as yes, it is trusting the child, but you also need to realize that you can't trust the environment. It's not
You
so
got
much
it.
your child,
Yes.
but it's the environment.
The exposure that they are in, right? So
Right.
yes, that is, yes. So if I want to just kind of bring it in a full circle, yes, I think most children spend their active day in schools,
Hmm.
right? And the school, of course, the expectation is from the school system that yes, they get most of exposure in schools.
Hmm.
There is some responsibility and supervisory roles that they should come in. Do you think schools are open for that kind of taking that liability or responsibility of what children
Well,
get exposed to?
as an educator, I'll tell you, they're totally responsible when they are in the school
Hmm.
because, especially with virtual private networks, VPNs,
Hmm.
there are kids using them. You can get them for free,
Yes.
and they're using them while they are in school, and which is
Wow.
why parents will say, you know, I want my child to have a cell phone to keep safe. And I'm like, well, cell phone's one of the most dangerous thing you could give a kid. But anyway, that's fine. But educators, they are the judicious parent, according to any Education Act.
So it is really concerning because
Hmm.
it's a higher responsibility because a parent is monitoring a child or two or three. A teacher has a group of kids,
Right.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And someone else's kids.
Yes. No, that's right. I mean, there are things I could tell you that goes on, they go on in schools now that people just shake their head, but I won't because it just makes them concerned
Yeah.
for their own kids, you know?
Um, the film that you produced, how do you use that as education for community or caregivers,
Well,
care providers?
there are universities using it and having students watch it. I use clips of the film or I show the whole film.
Mhm.
And I have shortened it a bit and put a conclusion on by the just final comments of the producer, I'm the producer and co-director. And it's used as an educational thing. There are people in the film. There are people that I met from around the world that said, yes, I'll be in your film. I want to contribute to the safety of children online.
Mhm.
I'll also use clips from the film. I had child actors and adults with a script that I wrote about how easy it is for children to be duped into doing things online. And then I follow it up with the clip of the predator talking about how he was going to use the pictures. And when I show it to students in schools, they're like, are you kidding me? And even the teachers, and they'll say, I would like to use this in my classroom. And I tell them, well, I'm sorry, there is copyright on the film.
Mhm.
But it's very, I just had a big event on November 6th with police and people from the community, and they were like, really? We didn't know it was like this. And I'm like, well, unfortunately, most of the people don't.
I went through training, trauma-based communication, being on the board of directors for a NGO. I went through some training, and some of presenters have brought up, very similar things that you are sharing.
Hmm.
And it's sad that this all after the fact, the damage is done.
Yeah. Hmm.
By the time police or any other social intervention is done, the damage is
Right.
done. The trauma carries
Yeah.
on, right?
Oh, I know from experience it does.
It does for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad, but it is worldwide. I really admire the strength that you had to take up this work. It's not an easy thing to do. It's really depressing.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
heartbreaking to hear stories and to be in front of people who have been through difficult experiences and traumas and childhood trauma and stuff, and then um, not having all the answers that they might want to, right? Want to know.
Right.
I could just only imagine how difficult work it is, but how important work it is. I,
It's,
I cannot salute you enough to say that
oh, thank you.
what you are giving to the community and to the world, even if you had trained 10 people that trained 10 other people and create a momentum, those how painful or difficult conversations they are, but they must take place for the
Mm-hmm.
benefit, for the safety of the innocents.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And when I speak, I will have parents share what their child has been through and tell everyone you need to listen. You need to do this.
I am sure that most parents have sincere intentions, but they don't know how.
Exactly. And I tell them, I'm giving you a roadmap.
Hmm.
Use my experience, my research, and the digital supervision methods to
Mhm.
your advantage.
I mean, authorities can only do things after the fact,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
so your documentary you mentioned is copyrighted, so you don't have it available out there. It's request,
Oh, it's
screening by
available.
request.
No, there it is available.
I
If
see.
you go to my website, cdoak-gebauer.com,
Mhm.
I have 3 pages for my documentary, and one page gives the channels that they're available on, like Tubi, and a few other channels. So it is available.
Yeah, we'll make all those links available for people who want to. And
Uh-huh.
your speaker, people can invite you to speak
Hmm. Yes,
on.
I enjoy speaking. I've had a few years of experience as a high school teacher in a behavioral classroom, so
Mm.
I have a few ways to keep people's attention through experience.
I think this is a topic that demands attention anyway,
Yes,
right?
most
If
certainly
if you
does.
have an audience, those people are there because they have sensed something or they need to know.
Do you know something? All parents, they have heartbreak. They don't know what to do for their children online,
Sad, right?
and I feel for them.
It,
And to digitize our parenting,
mhm.
I had an interview with the Board of Education and the Parent Advisory Committee, and they said, we've been looking for something like this.
Yeah,
And I said, well, let's do her.
yes.
Let's get it done.
What would you, based on your experiences, see that expanding this type of work beyond the school system, beyond the medical community or um, authorities, where else this can take shape in protecting children?
Religious leadership.
I see.
I've tried to get into churches, mosques. I've been into mosques and taught to children actually in
Mhm.
Muslim schools, and I've taught in public schools. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Like people
Yes.
look, yeah, people look up to religious leaders. They look up to
Yeah.
educators. They look up to doctors, and we all need to help parents.
I had a conversation when I was filming with all faith community, the religious leaders and stuff. So I kind of got different answers from different religious leaders. Not everyone was comfortable to speak and
Oh, I know.
participate, and
Yeah.
it was tough for them. So we have a message of God, and they didn't know how to deal with it. And then even though community comes to them, but they just don't have any solution for them.
No, I
That's
have to
where I
admit,
was left off.
I know I get frustrated because I was speaking with a church leader of a huge church,
Mhm.
about 5,000 different families. And he said, "Oh, well, we're working on that. We think we've got it handled." And I'm like, all I wanted to say was, listen, unless you have a computer science background and you've done the research I've done, you're not nearly prepared to help families.
Yeah,
You are not.
yeah.
And admit it. You can't be God. You
Charlene,
can't do it all.
this is a very painful, very sensitive, very difficult conversation. Most people do not know how to have it,
Right. Just
right?
talk. Yeah, you just
I
talk
know,
about it,
just talk, but
but they're just
yeah,
not
they
getting
can
it.
talk within friends, but for someone else to come and say, this is how you need to change your parenting skills. I don't
Right.
know how well that would go, right? Unless they make an attempt, I need to know more.
Hmm.
That changes the dynamic of the conversation then. Totally.
Yeah. And I usually, whenever I start, I'll say I'm not telling anyone that they're not parenting well. I'm
Yes.
telling everyone I give the history of the internet, the 25 years. In the history of the world, we're in the year 2025. We're talking about 25 little years. And the human being has to adjust to those 25 little years.
We
The
have
internet
so
has come upon us
we have
so
seen
fast.
so much change within our lives, right? Before the
Yes.
internet came to where we
Yeah.
are, right? So a lot of changes we have been through. Yes, it's hard adjusting. And I am sure the burden on parenting, on parents, the emotional burden, the financial burden, the cost of living. So they're juggling too much also, right? And then
It's a
keeping up
lot.
with the trends. Okay, kids have to have the soccer game and then ballets and things, and they're running around, and kids are running around. I'm sure there's lapses in
Hmm.
supervision so many
Yes.
times, but all this work is important. So even in each time you speak, each time the message gets heard, I'm sure that it causes some ripple effect or some sort of expansion to that conversation. I truly hope that with all sincerity, most parents, if we visualize how hard parents work to provide for their children, or find
Yeah.
those gadgets and all kinds of things for save for their education and things. So,
Yes.
but something that they don't know.
It's, I have to tell you, I love all parents.
Yeah.
I love all children.
Otherwise, you won't be
This
doing it.
isn't, no, and this isn't pointing a finger.
Yeah.
It's lending a helping hand, let's put it that way.
Yes.
I'm not out to criticize parents. I'm out to
We
suggest
can't.
that life has changed a lot
Yes.
and we need some help. And one fellow said, I can't tell you how much I've needed something like this. I'm worried sick for my kids. And the other thing that I tell everyone, don't think you're hanging the dirty laundry if you talk to other parents. Every household with children is experiencing the same challenge. It's time to start communicating with each other as well.
Yes. There is a support, and parents learn from other parents, and that's a knowledge. Knowledge is
Yes.
power. And it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be reprimand, it has to be education. I agree
Exactly.
with you wholeheartedly. We can't blame parents.
No,
Parents try
no.
hard. Parents try
They're
hard.
victims too. They're victims of the internet as well.
Yes. It's the
Yeah.
things that they don't know, or they just don't
Yes,
have time enough in their hands to know about it. But this is
that's
all
right.
good education. It's good effort. I applaud you. I wish you
Thank
all the
you.
success that you can find more venues to keep taking this message out there for parents and children and social workers, caregivers, whoever can benefit from these kinds of educational tips and ideas that where are lapses and where can be some control be in place for their own safety. Yes, and continue the good work, and anything that I can support, and we will provide all your links, especially the contract that you had mentioned. And
Yes.
We'll welcome you back.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, this is
Thank you for
really,
having me.
you're very welcome. I find it that this information needs to be um, talked about, given, make
And it
available
has to be
more.
discussed in a pragmatic way.
Yes, there are ways
It's just,
yeah,
let's just be open about it and discuss it. There's no need for shame. It's all an educational experience for our children.
absolutely. For their own safety, for long-term safety, it's not only the children, it's the entire family.
Yes,
Goes through
exactly.
that traumatic experiences. So I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, we will make all the links available. Dr. Charlene has mentioned about her book. Please check it out. And until next time, I am host Ritu Chopra. We'll see you at the next show. Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that information our guest has shared is helpful and you are taking away valuable tips and knowledge. We are committed to supporting women and building cause-driven businesses that create positive impact in their communities. Join us in the movement for change. Take action now and be part of Let's Come Together movement. Together, we can recognize, celebrate, and empower women who are making a difference in today's economy. Connect with passionate and powerful women, collaborate on cause-driven businesses, and build a better future for our communities. Let's advance sustainable goals for the people, planet, and prosperity. Join the Let's Come Together movement, a private community today, and be catalyst for change in creating and raising conscious leaders of tomorrow. Thank you.